Starting just with the starting five, they were looking to find their offense, and Carl emphasized, it wasn't there in that first half. But what they were able to do, getting the job done last night, do you think that's kind of just what they needed to find a rhythm?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think they moved it around. I thought when they went back in for largely the second shift, and then in the third quarter, they did a good job. And then, end of games, they just all tend to bog down, and some more than others. But yeah, I thought there was willingness there to kind of move it and get into some more structure, which we hadn't been doing. So that was good. Good first step.
The second game of a back-to-back after that Sixers game, you talked about, the purpose has to be there. That mental toughness, your approach needs to be better. So what's going to be the recipe for that tonight? I
think the start, and not just the first couple possessions. We've been good now. It's just the first quarter really going to tell a good story for us. We're definitely going to need the bench tonight, and they've been huge for us.
And any update with Ant and Jared?
Jared is available, will go, and Ant is still a game time decision.
With Ant, he said last month that he felt a lot better. We've seen the same thing that he was battling last month. Is this something that you just might have to manage throughout the rest of the season here with him?
Yeah, I think it's looking that way. I mean, every day, some days it's better than others. Tendinitis issues, probably not had a ton of it in his life. So just figuring out how to manage that.
Any thought to giving him a rest to try to
off? Everything's on the table right now, to try to get him to be where we need him to be.
How much do you think this has maybe affected him of late?
I'm sure it's affected him some for sure. Yeah, no doubt. He doesn't feel like he has the confidence or the explosion to do certain things, certainly in certain directions. So I'm sure it has.
But it surprised you to learn that no team in the NBA has a greater increase in isolation from the rest of the game to clutch time than your team?
No.
Seems about right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the double-edged sword a little bit because we have ISO players. Most teams go to pick and roll at the end of the game. We face a lot of switching, which also leaves us in a lot of ISO. So some of it's just inevitable. Not to say that we aren't trying to address it. There aren't some things that we can't do, but we're not a super dynamic pick and roll team.
Is Steph the most challenging guard somebody can have, in the sense of like he's no matter what, on the ball or off, he just can always have to be on, I guess, when you're defending him?
Yeah, for sure. He draws a crowd like most great players do with the ball, but he draws so much attention when he doesn't have the ball. That's unique in this game. And, whether you're trying to switch or deny him, his constant movement alone draws at least 2 and sometimes 3 defenders. And everything breaks loose on the back of that.
Can other players aspire to do that?
I'm sure they do. What you have to admire about Steph is that he's willing to put the work in. He's willing to run around like that. He's willing to keep playing on the move. And, a lot of supremely talented players just want the ball and then they go from there, and he turns that around. He just runs around and then gets the ball.
Chris, have you seen since the break, D'Angelo, just the consistency that he's brought, maybe, kind of the way that he's filling a scoring gap if it's Ant having a rough night or not, just like what he's giving you on a night in, night out basis offensively there?
Yeah, he's been really good. He's been, shot making's been huge. He's been clutch in the moments that we need him to be. Yeah, he's really settled into a good rhythm, not just since All-Star break, but also, since he's come back from his last hiatus with injuries.
Hey, Chris, going back to the Indiana game, you guys have trailed by at least 10 and 6 straight. Is there anything you can put your finger on with that, with the way you mentioned it earlier at the start, but anything specifically that you guys can do different to avoid those double-digit deficits?
Yeah, I think just the combination of our offense and our defense in that first unit is just kind of dipped enough to cause that. Thankfully, our bench has been playing really well. able to close the gaps there. But I mean, last night 37 points in the first quarter just isn't very good as a defensive effort. So we got to be better defensively. That's going to drive everything.